Hey guys, so the episode pretty much continues where it left with Kid more or less pretty much getting his licks in on Apoo before one of the numbers Hacha shows up and starts throwing everything into chaos. And honestly, one thing I loved about this section of the episode is that even though it was really only a small chunk, it feels like the anime is giving the Kid Pirates a little more to do, because Kid himself definitely takes a lot of the stage presence in this arc. Like with Luffy and Zoro and all that. But in the manga, it felt like his crew were just kind of relegated to background status, like they've always been. And while it still is the case here, I'm at least happy the anime is giving them a little more, a few more moments a few more moments than at least compared to what the manga had given them. Not enough to make them compelling, obviously, but just enough to where show they're just as capable of holding their own in a fight as their captain. Also, I like how during Kid's confrontation with Apoo wasn't necessarily wrong in his retort to Kid about betraying him. I mean, the four emperors are called that for a reason, and it requires more than a ragtag alliance to defeat an emperor. You need the power to back it up as well, and not just your own, but manpower as well. And that's why the legends say to never engage Kaido in a 1v1, but that doesn't mean a small group is capable either. Like it unless it's one of those things where unless you have the equivalent power to match on all fronts, then there's no hope of defeating an emperor. And the fact that everyone was having so much trouble in just facing Apoo is not a good sign. Again, is not a good sign either. Like I said that before, but just the fact that there are so many other other people who are giving Luffy and the others trouble, yeah, not a good sign in terms of how the fight with Kaido is gonna look. Honestly, now with that said, yeah, Sanji basically we see a brief moment where Sanji walks into the most obvious trap imaginable, Black Maria's pleasure hall, which ends up turning out to be empty. But at the same time, this even though Black Maria's pleasure hall was empty, this is where the fun begins. Like, if you thought Kid and Luffy's little fiasco was the start of it, that was really just the opening salvo. Like Sanji, Sanji, this whole stuff that's going on with the Straw Hats right now is the start of where everything starts getting crazy. With that, and another thing I also like that this episode did is that it showed just how much trust that is showed just how much more trustful like Kinema is becoming, because after like Nami and Shinobu and Carrot had stepped up to say we'll pretty much focus on rescuing Momonosuke. You worry about the fighting. That in itself shows he's becoming a lot more trustful of his allies now. Like before, he it was kind of an alliance of convenience that he teamed up with the Straw Hats, but now he is becoming more trusting of them as allies now, and and with that said though, where everything with that said though, however, I do have to admit I am noticing a pattern of two major things being the placement fillers, as it were, for this arc. The first is that the anime does seem to spend more than its fair share of time like setting up what Kinemon's group is gonna do and never just getting like straight to the point. Like it is using those moments I think a lot more to kind of fill the gap, which frankly isn't a bad idea, but it can grow stale very fast if you don't move it along either. And the second are obviously flashbacks, the latter of which wasn't as big of an issue this episode as it has been before, because we actually got one that I don't think was in the manga that showed the circumstances how Killer ended up becoming Kamazo, which not too surprisingly was Orochi doing what he did to everyone else in 1-0, starving Killer to the point where he had no choice but to accept the deal of eating the smile. Just fuck you, Orochi. But yeah, with that being one of them though, it's like it seems like it seems like Toei is running the risk of falling into the same trap that they pretty much did with Dressrosa, which is flooding the episode with flashbacks. And I hope they're at least going to be a little more resource. Even if they're going to do this, I hope they're a little more resourceful in how they use those flashbacks, honestly, because yeah, I definitely don't want, I definitely don't want to experience the Dressrosa thing again. And yeah, near the end of the episode, we see who's who starting to make his move. And in terms of which one of the Toby Robo he wants to kill, I don't think we ever truly learned that. I don't think it was ever mentioned in the manga, but I think considering who's who is competing, he sees himself as competing with Sasuke and considers him to be his rival. That might be the one he's talking about, but again, I don't think it was ever explicitly said in the manga but of who's who like wants to kill in the Toby Roppo. But that aside, though, one thing I will say is keep your eyes on who's who, because he kind of turns into one of the most quintessentially key characters in the story of not only Dressrosa, but in One Piece as a whole at the drop of a dime in terms of his past and just how much knowledge he knows about the current history and lore of One Piece at large. Like, it's actually kind of amazing how when I learned of his importance, it came up on me by complete surprise. But at the same time, what he offered in terms of like his past story, just how everything fits into the One Piece world, it fits so naturally that into the story that I was. It's probably like it's one of those times in One Piece where I am genuinely shocked at how the story was able to tie these things together. With that being said, if I did have one major issue with the episode this week, it's that this did feel like the weakest episode when it came to animation quality. Like, it's it's hard to really put into words, but I could see a lot more. This is one of those episodes where I could see a lot more corners being cut compared to previous episodes. Like even previous episodes that are worst still tried to compensate in some way, but this one felt a little more blatant, and I could notice a lot more of the flaws. And honestly, the only time it did feel like the animation actually stepped up was when the episode involved Apoo. Yeah, like he was the one point in the entire story, I guess you could say, where yeah, this pretty much felt like a where yeah, this pretty much felt like a this where yeah those moments with Apoo are the moments that felt like the best parts of the animation. But yeah, just everything else, it kind of offered just an underwhelming. Everything else in terms of the animation of the episode, it kind of just all felt underwhelming in terms of animation quality. Like even more, like at least with past episodes, there's always been one or two moments that are legitimately greatly animated. But yeah, with this episode, it kind of felt like the animation quality took a major dip. I don't know if that's just me or if I'm bugging and I'm the only one noticing this, but if I am, just let me know. But yeah, overall, just a very underwhelming episode in terms of animation. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. I'm on Twitter and on Crunchyroll. Be sure to hit the notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and be sure to share this around, guys. Death Knight of Anime, signing off. Later.